Are you a new triathlete? Do you want to avoid making big mistakes on race day? Well, we are here for you.
Yeah, we've compiled a list of the biggest mistakes that new triathletes make so you can learn from this video instead of making those mistakes yourself.
Well, we've got a lot to cover, but before we crack on, if you want to support the channel, we would love it if you clicked on the globe and subscribed. Okay, let's start with probably the most common mistake by new triathletes on race day is new kit on race day. As tempting as it is to have a brand new pair of trainers, we know how great they can feel. It isn't a good idea. You've got enough of a shock for your body doing your first triathlon as it is. Yes, new kit might look great, but if you've not tried it before, it might be the wrong size, you might get rubs, or it might just not be suitable for the job, and it's really not going to be worth it. Now, obviously, it's okay to have race kit that's put aside specifically for race day, but whatever you do, make sure you've given it a dry run, so to speak, beforehand, because everything will feel different when it's in those race conditions. Take your tri-suit, for example. It's going to feel very different being dry and putting it on and going for a run than it will do compared to it being wet and then cycling and then running in it. The same goes for your shoes. If you're using elastic laces, you need to try those out, make sure you've got them the right tightness. There's no point in just putting them in on race morning and off you go, because you might find all sorts of discomforts that come with that. And as for race shoes, yes, it's totally cool to have a pretty new pair, but just make sure you've worn them in a little bit, even if they are the exact same model that you've been training in.
Now, if you come from a running background, your natural inclination would be to pin your race number to your race kit, but this would be an error. You don't need your race number on the front and the back, and you don't need your race number on the back on the run. And in fact, you're not allowed to wear your race number on the swim. The solution, of course, is the most simple and probably the cheapest piece of triathlon kit you'll ever own. It is a race number belt. It's essentially just an elasticated belt, sometimes with a clip and sometimes without a clip, and you can even make your own with just a piece of elastic. You simply attach your race number to this, and then in T1, you step into it or clip it on, wear it at the back for the bike, and when you get off in T2, you swing it around to the front, and you've got your number on the front for the run. Simple.
Helmet mistakes. Note the plural there. Yes, there are several things that can go wrong when it comes to wearing your helmet in a triathlon race. For example, you might, to start with, forget to put it on. You might put it on and forget to do the strap up. You could even put it on backwards, or you end up taking it off too soon. Now, it might sound a little bit daunting, but if you follow the process, it is actually quite straightforward. So think as soon as you come into transition, before you do anything else, before you touch your bike, if you put your helmet on, do it up, and then leave it on your head until you've finished the bike. Only once your bike is back in transition, it is racked safely, can you then undo your strap and take your helmet off. Follow those rules and you'll be fine.
Losing your kit. Now, we're not talking about you can't find your stuff and you have to go looking lost and found after the race. We're talking about not knowing where you racked your stuff. If you've ever been to a race where there's a lot of new triathletes, you'll invariably see someone running around like a headless chicken looking for their stuff. Now, this is a common error, but an easily fixed one. Essentially, you won't be entering transition from the same way you entered transition on race morning, and you're going to be entering from the swim exit. So you need to know where that is and where your bike is relative to that swim exit. To do this and to prevent this error, simply walk transition the way you will on race day during the race before the race. So go into transition, rack your bike, and then go to the swim exit where you're going to enter transition and go that route to your bike. And then similarly with the exit and entry points for the bike and the run, walk them before the race so you know exactly where they are. Figure out what row you're in, what number you're racked, and where your bike is, maybe some landmarks around that bike, so that you're not the one making the error of running around like a headless chicken, losing your kit in the middle of the race.
Messing up the bike mount. Now here we're talking not just about where you mount, but also how you mount. So basically you need to make sure you don't get on your bike too early or off it too late. So check and recheck those mount and dismount lines when you're doing your course recce, and listen to the marshals because they are there to help you. And talking of getting on and off your bike, Don't try anything new on race day. Yeah, you're kind of getting the gist of this rule, but if you've only practiced their flying mount a couple of times in training, you might think with a bit of adrenaline, oh, you'll do it on race day. But the mount and dismount areas can often be a little bit chaotic and rather busy. So unless you're 100% sure you can nail it, I would stick to what you know best and stay safe.
Rushing is another common mistake we see beginners make, and this can cause you to forget something, drop something, or just get things wrong. Now, this applies to both before the race and also during the race itself. Before the race, you need to know your timings, how long things are going to take, when you need to be in the right place, and how long it's going to take you to get there. Remember that on race morning, things are going to look a little different to what they did the day before, perhaps when you wrecked your bike. There's going to be fences in the way, there's going to be a lot more crowds. It may take you significantly longer to get to that start position than you thought it might. So make sure you've planned that, and also know what time your wave starts and where you need to be before that wave starts. Normally you need to line up at least 10 minutes before, and you need to know all these things so you don't find yourself rushing on race day. Much like before the race, during the race, rushing can also be catastrophic. You'll see people panicking their way through transition and forgetting to put the helmet on, or leaving their goggles around their neck, or even leaving their wetsuit on the lower half of their body as they run out of transition. And this is all a result of rushing. Take a breath and slow down, particularly in those transitions. Make sure you do everything right. Even if it's slow and methodical, you'll save more time than if you get something wrong and you have to go back and correct it. Also, during the bike and during the run, rushing or feeling frantic is going to lead you to forgetting nutrition, or forgetting to eat or drink, forgetting to pace properly. Just getting a bit too rushed is not a good way to get through your race. So make sure you take a breath, slow down, and execute well.
Our final common mistake is not knowing the race rules. Yes, it's not a very exciting one, but it is really important. I'm afraid there are a huge amount of rules in triathlon, and some of them are really important. So if you are new to the sport, you need to check out the rule book. There's some obvious things like no drafting in the cycling, you're not being allowed outside assistance, no littering, but there are a few more intricate ones. So go check it out before your first race.
Now, I know we've already said no new kits on race day, but the rule is actually nothing new on race day, and this extends to actions. So if your race is an open water swim, make sure race day is not the first time you do an open water swim. And if you're using aero bars, make sure that race day is not the first time you go at race pace with aero bars.
Yeah, I'm sure there are some quirky mistakes that we've not covered that you guys have actually done. If so, we would love to hear from them. So please leave them in the comments section below. And that just leaves us to say good luck with your next race. And if you've enjoyed this, give us a like.
Thanks for watching, and good luck for your race.